Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing League, where tonight we take to the fastest track on the NASCAR circuit for round 12 of our College Cup Series, Michigan International Speedway. Last week, American University's Tim Robb dominated a time-shortened Queen City 250 from Charlotte Motor Speedway, leading 69 of the 123 laps completed en route to a win, becoming the first playoff driver to secure himself into the inaugural College Cup Series Championship 4. That win, however, didn't come without a bit of challenge for Robb, as we saw some other familiar faces scrapping it out for the lead in the first third of the race, including the juggernaut Jared Kaler of UNC Charlotte, Andrew Williams from Clemson University, and Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, all making their statement and shot at the win. And even from the likes of Jeremy Miller and Athena Leclerc trying to be a spoiler for our playoff drivers. But with Charlotte in the rear view, we move on to our Great Lakes 200, where tonight we could see another playoff driver secure his way into the Championship 4, or even a non-playoff driver steal a victory and put even more pressure onto our playoff drivers. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. I'm Zach Lindler alongside Alex Hallinar in the booth and producer Scott. And Alex, the drama, the tension, the beef has never been higher in the College Cup Series, and this is going to shape up to be an incredible 100-lap race.
And my beef with you has never been higher because my last name is not Hallinar. But I kid. Neither here nor there. Alex Gagnon joined Zach Lindler up here in the booth today. We got a lot of Alexes up in the broadcast booth across our various series here in the CIL.
Sorry.
Hey, no worries. I know I will do it at some point here. But yeah, right now we are in the middle of qualifying. We are on board with Edwin and Ofray out of the University of North Texas. Big shout out to producer Scott for those absolutely gorgeous lower third graphics that now feature the paint schemes of all of the cars we have in the field here today. You can see it just next to the student or alumni tag here on the graphic. Me personally, I'm a huge fan of that, and every week it feels like our production value just gets a little bit better and a little bit better. And between where we started the season and now, it looks like a whole new broadcast.
Yeah, and a big shout out to producer Scott. He sits up here in the booth with us. He doesn't really say a word on the broadcast, but he's the engine behind this show. He's up there clicking all the buttons. He's getting the replays. He's putting these graphics together. And he is the unsung hero and the reason why these broadcasts are as good as we are. So thanks, Scott. We love you, man. We're really appreciative of everything that you do.
And with that being said, a lot of drivers looking for an opportunity to punch their ticket to the Championship 4 here this evening. As mentioned earlier, Tim Robb already locked into the Championship 4 with his win last week at Charlotte. However, there is a bunch of other playoff drivers looking for their opportunity here at Michigan as the last real big track, per se, on the schedule as their way to punch their ticket to Miami in a couple of weeks. Because if you don't get it done tonight, all you have left is Bristol next week. And as we've seen with the CIL and the short tracks, anything could happen. So now might be the best time to make your move and lock yourself in to one of those last championship spots.
Yeah, that's going to be a very, very exciting race. Of course, Bristol always produces a lot of action. Of course, the asphalt Bristol, not the dirt Bristol, next week in the CIL. But yeah, Bristol's one of my favorite tracks. I love racing on it. I love driving it, and I especially love watching the racing on it because the drivers get so creative in how they race around other people. You get all the aggression comes out, all the tension, all the beef decides to make itself known at that track, and especially with all the drama that we've had this season, in that it's the cutoff race to our Championship 4. That's going to be an incredible race. But for the time being, we've got 100 laps, 200 miles at this Michigan International Speedway to settle. Track temp's really hot today. I think it saw it where it was in the 120s. So a lot of sunshine, a lot of heat on this really hot, slick, and fast racing surface as you're driving or riding along with Jared Kaler on his qualifying lap. Looking at the left, and it doesn't look like he's put in a lap time just yet. There he goes, 6th overall on the board with a 39.22 that time by. But that was his first of 3 laps, so we're going to stay along with him and see if he can do any better, but we're going to change gears now to the 95 of Jake Cummings from Wingate University, another playoff driver who's looking to win today to punch his ticket into the championship 4. We're going to see where that lap put him up at. That is going to put him P5 overall, so he will knock off Clint Halterman and Jared Kaler to one position below as he sets a 39.2. Actually,
look at all those 39.22s.
Running 22s on the grid in qualifying. That is impressive. Got to go down to the thousandths of a second, or maybe even an activation of the Villeneuve clause to figure out who's starting in front of who there. And look it up at the pole as well. Athena Leclerc and Connor Levy are tied. 39.16 the pole time. So Leclerc's got the provisional pole as we've got just over a minute left in qualifying.
Yeah, and not to forget, while the playoff drivers are battling for an opportunity at Miami, everyone else in the field is still racing for their respective student or alumni championships. So there's still a lot of points up for grabs for every driver in the field here today, not just the ones marked in gold. But if you are looking at that timing tower, those marked in that yellow goldish sort of background, those are the drivers in the playoffs looking to find their way to the championship 4 in Miami in 2 weeks. Everyone in blue are non-playoff drivers who are part of our student division. Everyone in red are non-playoff drivers, a part of our alumni division. And if you see Tim Robb in that silver moniker, that is because he is already locked into the championship 4 at Miami.
Yeah, the only driver to do it so far, and he did it last week in dominant fashion at Charlotte. I know we were joking before the show. He was pretty late showing up to the lobby tonight. We were wondering if he was just going to park the car for the rest of the round and not even worry about it until Homestead. But he showed up. But that would have been a really, really impressive move out of our one driver who has qualified himself for the championship 4. And Alex, I believe that is the end of qualifying. Let's go through our starting grid for the Michigan 200.
You bet. So on pole, it's going to be Athena Leclerc out of St. Clair College. A great qualifying time there, beating out all the playoff drivers. Connor Levy for Arizona State, 4,000ths of a second behind, will roll off on the outside of the front row. Zach DeWale, another St. Clair College car, will be rolling off third alongside Esteban Munoz for FIU. Jake Cummings for Wingate rolls off fifth alongside Clint Halterman for UNC Charlotte. Both of those guys, playoff drivers, looking for an opportunity to move on here tonight. Jared Kaler will roll off seventh alongside Bradley Daniels for Robert Morris University. He is the highest qualifying alumni in the field today. Matthew Nordberg for NC State rolls off ninth alongside Rhett Crane out of Ball State. Row 6 is Colin Culpa out of Indiana alongside R. Muhammad Ali from Ball State. In 13th, it'll be Jeremy Millerin out of Purdue alongside Andrew Williams for Clemson. In 15th, it is Jason Wallet from Drexel University alongside Jacob Wiest for UNC Charlotte. Row 9 will be Andrew McCall from Purdue alongside Austin DeLong for the Penn College of Technology. And row 10 is Tim Robb, last week's winner out of American University, alongside Matthew Burton for East Tennessee State.
Looking at the back half of the grid, Andrew Stagey from Ball State will roll off 21st. To his outside will be Cody Fadenhauer from Virginia Commonwealth University in the 22nd position. Looking further on back, Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate University will roll off 23rd. Spencer Brown from UNC Charlotte will start 24th. 25th goes to Matt Stawecki from James Madison University. Edwin Onofre from UNT will start 26th. Ethan Head in the number 8 machine from UT Knoxville will start 27th. On his road, Nick Stockner from Clemson University. Two Orange buddies going at it side by side. Michael Sidor starts 29th for the Penn College of Technology. Dylan Godinez, Sidor's teammate, will start to his outside in the 30th position. Treston Yoder in the Cal car will start 31st for Robert Morris University, and Jake Drew from Fullerton College will return to the CIL once again, starting from the 32nd position. Ryan Wilson from Minnesota State Mankato rolls off 33rd. Timothy Williams from Drexel University rolls off 34th. Andrew Burrell from Clemson University will start 35th. Dan Banner from St. Clair College will start 36th. And 37th goes to Garrett Vighton from Arizona State. And last grid position, 38th, goes to Anthony Brown from Queens University of Charlotte. And Alex, I think I already saw in the pre-race text chat where I think it was, yeah, Viton said that he was going to try to do the, Viton said he was going to try to do the last to first challenge here.
Well, he's near close to being able to at least attempt it, rolling off from second last on the grid. They'll have a ways to go, but, you know, 100 laps of racing here at Michigan will take a hot second, so plenty of time to work his way through the field and try and make it happen here as the back part of the grid here will make their way up to the lines as these guys are rolling through 3 and 4. Michigan being a 2-mile oval but with no restrictor plate makes it one of the fastest tracks on the schedule, so you're going to probably see some of these cars up in the draft exceeding 200 miles an hour here as that pace car is peeling off here and we're just about ready to get going.
Yeah, folks, this is going to be a long, fast race for these drivers. The field is side by side. Athena Leclerc, the control car, she hits the Geico starting zone. Barney throws the green, and we got 100 laps to decide it here at Michigan, and some commotion in the back of the field on that restart already.
Yeah, a couple of cars getting shaken up. It looked like one of the Penn College of Technology cars got the worst end of that. Rough restart there, but everyone keeps it forward. We stay green, and coming off of turn number 2, and it will be Athena Leclerc with Connor Levy pulling up along the bumper of that car, and will be looking to make their way from 3 and 4 as Kaler makes it 4, maybe even 5 wide for a second here, and Brad Daniels is sideways in the spin. They are spinning in 3 and 4. Caution is out here on lap number 1.
Oh, was that Halterman?
That is either Halterman or Jacob Weiss.
It's Weiss.
Jacob Weiss, okay. Not a great start for a couple of our alumni drivers. Brad Daniels around, Jacob Weiss around. Not an ideal start for a couple of those guys. I mean, there was chaos happening from the moment Barney dropped the green flag. As you see Matthew Burton there taking that injured ETSU car, trying to nurse it back to pit road.
Yeah, an unfortunate start for a lot of drivers there. It looked like some 3-4 wide towards the front was the cause of that incident, but that's exactly the kind of racing that you're going to see. You can see Brad Daniels and the 6 of Rhett Crane, and there you see it, the 4 wide from third. That's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th and 6th positions, but just some ping pong there, and Brad Daniels and Matt Burton, unfortunately, were collected in that incident. So race control will have a look at that.
As was Jacob Weiss. It looks like a couple of cars lucky to avoid bigger damage than there was here. We're right on board here with Andrew Burrow, who was coming up to the scene late here, but had to take evasive action not to collect any of these guys. See Brad Daniels flying by on the inside and has to duck down away from Jacob Weiss.
Good evasive action from Andrew Burrell, who you just rode along with in that Clemson University machine. Now got to ride along with Edwin Onofre. You can see comes up to the incident site pretty quickly, but is able to get down, and you can see those cars hard into the outside wall involved in that crash, and hopefully they'll be able to bring those back down pit road, get them fixed, and get back out there.
Yeah, you saw some debris and damage getting flung around there. I wonder if that's part of the recent update to the damage model for these next-gen cars. I had not seen that before until today, so I wonder, I know they had an update for the damage model on these cars a week or two ago. I wonder if that was part of it, because I don't know if I've ever seen a fender just kind of flare off the car like that.
No, but if so, that's really neat.
Yeah, I must say, opening verdict, 2 thumbs way up. I like to see the extra layer to the damage model there. But definitely a bummer for those guys who were caught up in the field. I'm sorry that your crash looked as magnificent as it was.
And race control has deemed that it was a racing incident, and I believe I think we're going to be seeing a lot of those tonight, because that's just a product of what this kind of racing produces. You know, you see the runs that you get down the front and the back straightaway. The draft is so strong at this track that you have to use it to your advantage, especially because it's so hard to pass. You got to have that run on the car in front if you want any shot of going around them. But that will lead to some 3, maybe even 4 wide moves like we saw on lap 1 of a lot of those guys up at the front going at it for position. And sometimes you can get a little too close, make some contact, and fortunately that incident was as small as it was, that it wasn't bigger.
It's interesting to think about the fact that they went 4 wide in the 3 and 4 there, but that wasn't actually the cause of the incident. It was the row behind them that got a little into each other. But yeah, you can't win a 100 lap race on lap 1, but you can certainly lose a 100 lap race on lap 1, especially because in the CIL here we do not have fast repairs enabled for the remainder of the season here. So the damage that those guys suffered, they're going to have to repair that manually back on pit road or just try and nurse it around. But a couple of cars already looking like their day, at least their shot of the win, could be over.
Of course, manual damage in the CIL and iRacing, meaning that your virtual pit crew puts in the elbow grease for you. You don't have to physically get out and fix your own car, though I think that'd be kind of fun to do once or twice.
We should do like an all-star, like, like the old pit road challenge, but
Oh,
instead
man,
of just
that'd
be the
be
CIL
awesome.
drivers, like trying to do like the general maintenance on the cars, because I think it would range from people who knew exactly what they were doing to people maybe like myself who would go like, I couldn't tell you the first thing I'm looking for.
Drop a like on this stream or VOD or wherever you're watching if you want to see all the CIL drivers fly into Charlotte and do the pit stop challenge at the Hall of Fame.
I think that would be a great.
It'd be hilarious.
I think that would be quality content, if I do say so myself.
Oh, enough shenanigans. Let's get back to the racing as the field you see once again stacked up side by side. Athena Leclerc still in the lead. She's going to get the jump in the restart zone as Barney throws the green, and we're back to racing at Michigan.
Having a battle with Jake Cummings. And I know iRacing makes all these cars pretty similar, but I do find it fascinating. Even though it's a Chevy heavy field, we've got 3 Fords running 2, 3. Oh, well, that made the break up that little chunk of Fords there. But, fun to see a little bit of a mix up there.
And I think that's a homage to how accurate and good iRacing is at simulating these cars, because at least in recent years, Ford has been dominant at Michigan. It's kind of the home race for those Ford cars being based out of Detroit. But, over the past few years, Ford has done very, very well at this very long, high-banked, multi-line racetrack as we're seeing this multi-line racing come into play in this battle for the lead. Esteban Munoz has worked his way up into the top 3 and is now challenging Connor Levy for that second position as Athena Leclerc's lead that she checked out to on that restart has all but dissipated. Although she does have a couple of cars over Connor Levy. We're going to see if the draft says anything about that. Here's Levy and the rest of the field behind him with a huge run down the front straightaway. There's Levy looking down to the inside a bit early on the brakes. That means Munoz had to check up a little bit as he now risks falling into the hornet's nest of cars behind him. That's Jake Cummings to the outside of Zach DeWale. That's Jared Kaler, Muhammad Alif side by side, Rhett Crane, Jason Wallet, and Clint Halterman going at it as well. So a lot of playoff drivers in the top 10 battling for position very early on in this race.
Yeah, you can tell on the straightaways the best place to be is in the draft, and a lot of people try single filing up if they can. And then the moment they hit the corner, everybody fans out to their preferred green. We were seeing 3 and 4 wide through the corners, and then they all sort of back out to 1 and 2 wide going down the straightaway. So, nature of the beast when you work with the draft here is Levy gets a good run through 1 and 2, might be able to make the pass, is able to complete the pass. Connor Levy now to the point here on lap number 8, and that Arizona State machine trying to drive away. I wonder if there was some contact or a checkup or something with the King Leclerc there, because Leclerc just plummeted from 1st to 6th over the course of that backstretch. And is in danger of losing even more positions here, but looks like she's finally caught back up into the draft and is kind of getting that thing rolling again. Not entirely sure what happened. It was not a great lap for the driver in the 61. And now it is 3 playoff drivers at the front of the field. Connor Levy, Jake Cummings, and then Munoz and Taylor battling for 3rd.
Yeah, I think what I saw out of turn 2 that last time by, the 14 and the 61 might have made just a tinge of contact coming off of the corner. But I think both of those drivers got a little piece of the wall coming down the back straightaway. A little mistake out of Connor Levy, and of course Leclerc had nowhere to go but the wall. So we're going to see if that aero damage affects either of these drivers along the way, as it looks like Leclerc has gotten herself stabilized out, as you see her right behind that number 1 machine of Jared Kaler leading that high line charge down the front straightaway. Now, something that's been interesting is the leaders down the front straightaway have chosen a different line almost every single time they've come across. One lap they'll go high, one lap they'll go low, like they did last time. And I think this is one of the first laps that we've seen there be a different line break off, as we've got some 3 wide action towards the middle of the pack. This is Matt Nordberg, and
they are 5 wide.
It's Jake. That's Jake Drew, DeLong. I think I see Tim Robb, and was that Halterman involved in that as well? And
there was a whole host of cars in that one. That's a miracle they got that sorted out coming off of 3 and 4. It's now settled down to at least 3 wide, now 2. Jake Drew on the charge early, qualified 32nd. He's already up into the top 15 and looking for more.
Yeah, Jake Drew did not have a good qualifying. He started towards the back of the field, but already he is knocking on the door of the top 10. He's worked his way inside the top 15, and he wants more, as he's got an alumni championship to win. And actually, one of the big storylines of the week is his, I guess you could say, title rival for this alumni class championship. St. Clair College's Robbie Vrabel Jr. has been suspended for this race. Last week we saw the collision with Jeremy Millerin, the reigning alumni champion, and the higher-ups... Tim Robb got in the wall a little bit, but the higher-ups deemed that to be intentional, and so Vrabel will sit out this week. And Alex, you got to think, with the performance that he's had this season, he could very easily win at Bristol and make it into the championship 4, but I think that's really the only shot he'll have at the overall title this year. He's still very much in the hunt for the alumni championship, but his title hopes have taken a pretty big hit.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly tricky, and as we're looking here, there's 2 more of the competitors for the alumni championship right there in view. Matthew Nordberg on the bottom, that 006 of Colin Kolpa up top has quietly assembled a very strong campaign on the alumni point side of things this year. So all of these guys battling for what could be a potential alumni championship. We see Jeremy Miller working just behind them. And here comes Garrett Vighton, who qualified all the way back in 37th. He's now on the inside of Jeremy Miller. Him and Jake Drew have been on an absolute charge since the start of this race. You know, Vighton called his shot trying to go last to first. He's already making good work of it so far.
And you see Jeremy Miller in racing with his teammate Andrew McCall to the outside. Both of those drivers have been side by side for the last couple laps or so. And there you see the 42 making his so-called worst of first run this race. We're going to see if he can get that job done. But he's got Tim Robb to his inside, as I believe that is Jacob Wiest, who has come out of the pits. He's got that car repaired and back out on track. Good to see. Matthew Burton has pulled the car behind the wall, and he has retired from this race.
Yeah, certainly a bummer. And a couple of cars already a lap down. Brad Daniels, Treston Yoder, Jacob Wiest, Michael Seidel also well off the lead lap here. This is the battle for the lead ahead of us here, though. Connor Levy trying to hold off. Jake Cummins to the inside. Jared Kaler to the outside. And Esteban Munoz is bringing up the rears on both of them. They are running 1 through 4 right now, but it looks like Munoz may have clipped the wall there coming off a 2. Kaler now pulling all the way up to the back of the 95. Which way will he go into the corner? Here comes Rhett Crane launching himself onto the inside here, looking to make the move for third. He's on the inside of Kaler now, and Jake Cummins has got to pick a line to defend here. He's under pressure from multiple lanes, and this is allowing Connor Levy to finally get a little bit of distance after they pulled right up to the back of him.
But look at the push from Jared Kaler. He shoves the 95 up to the bumper of the 14, and we have a new leader, Jake Cummings. Thank you, Jared Kaler, for that, he should be saying in that cockpit. But now he comes under fire from the 14 of Connor Levy. And he's now down to the inside. Jared Kaler, they're now going to go single file behind them. And look at the run Kaler gets on the 95 with the draft. He's got his friend Esteban Munoz right by him.
They make contact.
Contact. Levy washes up into the side of the 95, and that allows Jared Kaler to go through for the lead.
Jared Kaler has the lead for the moment, but there is a swarm of cars behind them. They were 3 wide, or they still might be 3 wide going into the corner here. Esteban Munoz all over the back of that UNC Charlotte car. Then behind them, it is Rhett Crane, Jake Cummings, and Zach DeWale on the outside making, or that's actually Muhammad Alif, sorry. Alif is on the outside. Alif has moved up into 3rd. DeWale is battling for 6th there, or 5th with Jake Cummings. Levy has cycled all the way back to 4th, and there is contact behind them. Did they spin? There is a car at the wall, but the caution is not out. Will they throw the yellow? It appears they will not.
Biggest loser out of that is Austin DeLong in the 22 machine. He took a nasty lick to that outside wall after some contact with a couple of other cars battling for those last few positions in the top 10. You saw him pull that car down pit road, but for the time being, the leaders are almost single file. Here's Muhammad Alif coming under fire from the 14 of Connor Levy. I think Alif is going to walk away with that position for the time being since he's got the draft. Levy's got to be careful. There he goes. He's going to move up behind Alif because he was in danger of getting alongside with Jake Cummings as well.
The action is fast and furious up here in the top 8-9 cars or so as they're starting to pull away a little bit from the rest of the pack. Kaler leading this line into 1 and 2. Munoz, Alif, and Levy amongst the rest who are laying in wait, looking for their opportunity to strike. As Cummings now with a strong move to the inside. He's going to try and slide up ahead of the 14. Able to do so, but the 14 trying to get back around on the inside, blocked off by the 95, as Alif is now shoving Munoz down the backstretch here. They are shuffling and looking for every bit of real estate here, and it's only lap 19.
Looking at our top 10, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 playoff drivers in the top 10 challenging for this win. Riding on board with Muhammad Alif, this Ball State Cardinals machine looking all over the back bumper of Panther Esports, FIU, Esteban Munoz as they go into turn 1. I'm imagining it almost or just over 200 miles an hour in these next-gen cars as we were almost 3 wide for a second in the middle of turns 1 and 2 as Munoz, Alif, and Jake Cummings tried to make it 3 wide, but now they're 2 wide and Jared Kaler has a decision to make. Which lane is he going to block down the back straightaway? Doesn't look like either of those lines is going to get a big run as now both Cummings and Alif are going to try and split the uprights here against Kaler, but won't make the move stick as they're going to fall behind a little bit side by side. Now you got to think down this front straightaway. Look at Munoz. He did not get a good run, so he's going to have to try to side draft on some of these cars up top to slow them down so he can stay in the mix.
Kaler just barely holding off Alif. Alif just barely holding off a surging Connor Levy as now Levy's looking to the inside of the 12. Munoz trying to hold on to that inside lane. No one's giving him a gap to get back into the draft here, and it's starting to cost him some positions. Already fell back to 4th, lost out the 5th as well in the 2nd here if Jake Cummings continues the run that he has. Levy to the inside of the 12, washing up a little bit, not able to make the pass, but able to keep it off of his competitors. Rhett Crane with a strong move there. He is now in 3rd. He's pulling up onto the back. And now Jared Kaler has 2 Ball State cars behind them. Will they work as a team to try and get around the number 1?
These two historically have been very good teammates in the Cup Series. These two love working together. That's a part of that incredible program Ball State has put together in the last year or so, and they are finding success early on tonight as we're just over a 5th into this race. And one thing I would like to point out is we talked about the track being so hot at the top of the show. These drivers have got to think about conserving tires. This hot, slick surface is going to shred these tires apart, on top of the fact that Michigan is already a very abrasive track. So these drivers are starting to think about these green flag pit stops that, according to my notes, that window should open at about lap 40 and close on lap 60. So splitting this race in half, I think, is going to be the winning strategy today if it goes green.
Jacob Weist actively trying to unlap himself. He's that chrome and green car on the inside here. All the other cars on the lead lap are to his outside. He's on fresher tires, but being the only car on that inside might make it a bit of a challenge to try and make it happen. But, you know, maybe they'll give him a bit of a pass here as they're busy fighting amongst themselves. Kaler still holding on to the lead for the moment. He's still looking for win number 1 on the season after being the dominant player the past couple years in the CIL. He's been good, but not great so far this year. And a win here not only would be a huge shot for his confidence, but also would lock him into the Championship 4 in Miami. However, there is a bunch of cars behind him looking to do the same thing, including Muhammad Alif, Connor Levy, Zach DeWale, Jake Cummings, and Clint Halterman, all just within the top 10, not to mention all the other playoff guys who might not be in the top 10 but are still looking for that ever so critical win to lock themselves in Homestead.
Yeah, a lot of non-playoff drivers looking to play spoiler tonight, but these playoff drivers hungry for that win to get into Homestead. That is the goal for all of those gold names you see on the left-hand side of your screen. But if you don't have a gold name, still a lot to race for, as a lot of these guys in the top 10 are contending for that elusive class championship. Students and alumni racing for their own title. Looks like we're single file for the time being inside the top 5, but still some action further on towards the back of the top 10. Looking at Jake Drew, who has now worked his way inside the top 10. He's going to go 3 wide with Halterman, and I think that's DeWale to the high side. Drew's going to take away both of those positions and work his way. Well, he's going to retain the 7th position as he now goes to work on Jake Cummings. He gets P6 that time by, but Jake Drew, not a good qualifying like we said earlier, but that didn't stop him from moving all the way up through the field. What a performance he has put on tonight.
Yeah, so far so good for the driver out of Fullerton College. I mean, that was a seamless pass off of 4 to get those 2 positions at once. He's now alongside Esteban Munoz. This is the battle for 5th. Keep in mind, 26 laps ago, that 696 was rolling off 32nd. So he's made up a lot of ground, and he's done it in a very short amount of time. Also, to highlight someone who's made up a lot of ground in a short amount of time, Garrett Vighton, who rolled off 37th, he's currently in the 11th position. He is part of this lead pack here. So both him and Jake Drew have put on an absolute show so far in working their way to the front. I gotta say, I'm very impressed so far with Vighton claiming he was going to go worst to first, and right now he's knocking on the door of the top 10 after gaining already 25, 26 spots.
He called his shot, and he might actually do it, as he's got a lot of momentum his way, but still a long way up to the front of the field, riding it towards the back of this lead pack. But for the time being, just over a quarter of the way into the race, and it is Rhett Crane knocking on the rear bumper of Jared Kaler.
He's all over.
He's all over that back bumper, and just a short gap back to his teammate Muhammad Alif, who's going to get a decent run into turn 1. As Jake Drew has now gotten around the 14 of Connor Levy for that 4th position. And I'm wondering, is Jake Drew did he save tires in the opening stint of this green flag run, and is that where his speed is coming from?
It must be. I can't think of any other reason he'd be looking this quick compared to the rest of the field here, and if that's the case, an absolute masterclass, and not only passing the field, but saving tires while doing so. One thing that's worth noting is Rhett Crane has made the move on the inside to take the lead away from Jared Kaler. He slid up in front of him, made the pass, and now Kaler trying to find his way back on the outside. I was just about to say that Jake Drew and Jared Kaler have known each other for quite some time and work really well together, so they could be a bit of a de facto teammate situation against the 2 Ball State cars. But right now, Rhett Crane and Jared Kaler swapping that lead back and forth. Whoever gets the run, they're the one in the lead. And now Kaler trying to break a little bit of that draft off the nose of the 6. I mean, these guys are really going after it now, and we're not even on lap 30 yet.
Yeah, this is really, really intense racing. No driver in this top 10 is really out of this race yet, possibly even back to the top 15 to end of this lead lap pack. But this battle for the lead currently at 5 cars: Kaler, Crane, Alif, Drew, Levy. 1 green car and a swarm of red up there at the front. So just a little something extra for Kaler right there. The Kaler had a really good showing at his hometown track, Charlotte, last week, and he came just short of that win there at the end. So you know he's got to be hungry, looking for that win to lock himself into the playoffs. Can he do it today? He's got about 71 more laps to go to do that. Here's Ball State's Rhett Crane looking underneath the 1 machine of UNC Charlotte. They're going to be side by side out of the corner, but Kaler gets a great run using that top line, the longer way around with more momentum. as they're going to go single file down the front straightaway, at least in the top 3. And now here's Jake Drew trying to work his way around Connor Levy in the Arizona State 14 machine. Still no change inside the top 5 as they come through turns 1 and 2. We're going to see who gets the better draft down the back straightaway, though.
Yeah, the upper lane right near the wall there, that's the place you want to be on the back stretch. That's where the draft is, so that's where all your competitors are. And right now, Jake Drew kind of stuck on the inside here. It's giving him a great opportunity to try and make some moves on the inside of the corners. But then he's losing out on that top-end speed in the draft going down the front and back straightaway here. And all that battling is starting to pull third, fourth, and fifth back just a little bit from the 2 lead cars. And if this keeps up, we could see Kaler and Rhett Crane starting to pull away a little bit. But as I said, they start battling pretty tight, and now here comes third through fifth, pulling right back up to the back bumper. They are getting a little bit of a separation between them and sixth on back, who are all in a bit of a freight train trying to catch back up to these leaders. But right now, it is Jared Kaler, Rhett Crane doing battle for the lead, with Alif, Drew, and Levy battling for the rest of the top 5 and waiting to see if either one of the first 2 guys make a mistake.
And I'm looking at the pack just behind them. That's going to be 6th all the way back to 11th or 12th. But there's some great racing going on back here, although they go single file for the time being. That's now Zach DeWale taking away the lead of that pack from the 9 of Esteban Munoz, who desperately wants to get up to the front and race with his friends. Jake Drew and Taylor's in the wall. Yeah, one of those Ball State cars got a piece of the wall right now as Alif is all over the back bumper of his teammate. You saw that 6th car moving all over the back straightaway as he had his teammate all up in his business on the bumper of his car into the turn right there, as it now looks like Alif is under fire from Jake Drew, but gets the better exit out of the corner, comes down to block, and that is going to hang out Connor Levy up on that high side. That's going to leave him hanging out to dry, as he's now still side by side with Jake Drew going into the corner. And I think it's safe to say we now have a 2-car breakaway for the lead.
Yeah, it's also safe to say all that battling has allowed the that 6th through 11th or 12th group to start pulling back in. Athena Leclerc and Zach DeWale have lined up nose to tail, and they've been using that draft to pull back into this lead group here. Right now, though, Rhett Crane and Jared Kaler about 4 car lengths away from the rest of the field at the closest. Rhett Crane, though, still about a car length away from Kaler as we hit lap 35. Kaler has done an incredible job so far of holding on to this lead despite the amount of different attackers that he's had, as some people now are coming in for potential green flag pit stops, Zach.
Yeah, I think I saw a Penn College car coming off of pit road, but right here, Andrew Williams from Clemson University, he pitted from way back in the field. I think he was the last running playoff driver in the grid right now. So he's going to try and undercut pit stop here on lap 35. I think he's banking on a late race caution or mid-race caution to try and work his way back up through the field. But for the time being, Jared Kaler still holds on to that lead as he is under fire from that 6 of Rhett Crane. Now Muhammad Alif to the inside of Jake Drew for that 3rd position, and all alone in 5th. Nobody to race by for Connor Levy right now, but I think he is perfectly content with that. But don't look now. Here come those 2 St. Clair cars.
Ooh, Levy hit the wall.
They've now broken away from that pack behind them. That's Zach DeWale leading pole sitter Athena Leclerc for the 6th and 7th positions, as we're going to keep an eye on these lap times between the leaders and Andrew Williams for that pit stop. We're going to see how much faster he is around these corners.
Yeah, and we'll be getting that information relatively soon here once he gets back out and starts running full speed laps again. Right now, though, no one else has really dared come down pit road yet outside of Andrew Williams, so a gutsy call so far for the 23, and we'll have to see if the strategy works out or not. He hadn't been having a great run to this point, so, you know, if you don't necessarily have the speed off the jump, sometimes a strategy play could be exactly what you need to get yourself back in contention. Or sometimes it doesn't work out at all, and then you put yourself in a bigger hole. But that is remained to be seen as we wait to see the rest of the cars come down for green flag pit stops over the next stretch of time here. With this expected to be a one-stop thing on fuel, at least, there's a lot of different ideas on how you can chunk up these 2 stages per se to pit.
Yeah, and obviously Williams was not winning this race off of pace alone, being stuck at the back of the field. So if you want to beat the guys in front of you, you got to do what they don't. So Williams either throwing something at the wall and seeing if it sticks, or maybe a master class in strategy. We will find out by the time this race is over. Still a long way to go as we are coming to lap 39 of 100. You can see there in the middle bottom of your screen, Williams about 8.5 tenths faster off that lap, and they're just only a little bit faster than Kaler that time by. So, of course, the pace differential isn't much, but you've got to be thinking Kaler does not have the draft. Kaler is out front. He is the leader, so he's not going to have the draft. Williams, however, we're not 100% sure where exactly he is on track relative to the pack, so he may be, yeah, it looks like he's just kind of running around all by himself. Yeah, we got producer Scott singing "All by Myself" over here. But it looks like he had that Technical Alliance OWR partner, Cody Fadenhauer, right in front of him. So maybe the two of them took a huge lick off the wall, and he might have a little bit of aero damage as he's going to lose almost every single top 5 position down the straightaway after battling for second, and that's going to put Jake Drew up into P2, as now Zach DeWale from St. Clair College is back up in the mix, running 6th.
Yeah, this is exactly what Zach DeWale needed, was just a little bit of an extra pull back into the pack here. Now that he's firmly within that draft, he'll have the opportunity, just like the rest of these folks, to try and make something happen. But with Rhett Crane hitting the wall there, it does leave the door open for Jared Kaler to put a little bit of a gap on the rest of the field here. Jake Drew currently running second, 3 tenths behind. Not to mention, though, I mean, Jake Drew has already put on an absolutely incredible performance here in the opening 40 laps to move up from 32nd to 2nd. Now looking for the lead here. Look to a little bit to the inside of Kaler, but well too far away to make the move just yet. So maybe just testing the water to see how his car handles down there with a bit of fresh air on the nose that it probably hasn't seen much of all day.
Looking at this battle for the 10th position, this is Garrett Vighton looking at Jake Cummings. Garrett Vighton still on his self-titled worst to first speed run here in the Great Lakes 200 at Michigan, as he's going to take away that 10th position, and he'll crack the top 10 for the first time tonight, but he's still got a long way to go. As looking at this little pack of Athena Leclerc, Tim Robb, and Clint Halterman up in front of them, these 3 cars going at it, and it looks like we are going to have our first pit stop out of our top 15 as Esteban Munoz decides to hit pit road. Now the pit window is open. You can come in now and make it to the end of the race, but you're going to have to save a little bit of fuel towards the latter stages of this race, maybe through a caution or from some lift and coast into these corners. But I believe lap 45 or lap 46 is the safe point where you'll see a lot of these drivers coming down pit road, and I think about lap 50 is when it's going to start to get interesting.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of battling here for position through 7th through 11th here, as they are shuffling around, or 7th through 10th, trying to find who's going to be the running order here. Tim Robb and Clint Halterman at the front end of this battling pack, with Leclerc, Cummings, and Vighton all also in the mix. But to your point about the pit stops there, we saw on screen briefly that Andrew Williams has been running about a second a lap faster than Jared Kaler since he's come out on those fresh tires. And that'll start to add up over a run, especially because Kaler at some point will need to come in, and he will need to pit, and he'll lose some time on pit road doing so if it's not under caution. So depending on how this race shakes out, it could be a really strong move from Andrew Williams. If the cautions fall the right way, maybe potentially trapping some of the leaders in a weird spot trying to come down pit road.
And even though Kaler is in the lead, it would be an absolute disaster for him if he came down pit road and nobody came with him on his lap, because he would have no friends out in the draft. So you got to be thinking him and Jake Drew are trying to coordinate something together, as we're 4 wide here momentarily. Back to 4 wide through turns 3 and 4. That's the 86 of Tim Wilms, Jake Cummings, and Athena Leclerc, and that was the 42 in there involved in that as well.
Yeah, they are getting very I don't want to say impatient, but they're getting a little more daring now that they've had some laps on these tires. They know how their car is handling, given the track temperatures and track conditions at the moment. And they're starting to be a little more adventurous with where they're trying to put the car. As right now, this is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th between Levy, Crane, and Elise. They've fallen off a little bit here from the lead cars of Kaler, Drew, and DeWale. But still a lot of fighting going on there as Jake Drew is pulled up to the bumper of Jared Kaler here. And now as we near a halfway point, Jake Drew looking to the inside, trying to make the pass for the lead. Kaler has led since he's taken the lead back around lap 20 and hasn't looked back yet, but now Jake Drew all over the bumper trying to make something happen. And Zach DeWale kind of hanging in the picture there in 3rd, just trying to see if this battling between the front two can pull him a little bit closer.
Yeah, the battle for the lead, and this is critical as we are approaching green flag pit stops. Obviously, if you're Kaler, you want to come and get tires so that you don't really have to put up with this from Jake Drew. And if you're Jake Drew, you want to get around Kaler so that you can have that first position going onto pit road. Because, and I know this is going to sound silly, that means you won't have to fight for any positions on pit road. All you have to do is hit your marks, do your pit stop, and you'll come out back on top. But if you're fighting for the lead like this coming down pit road, you've got to have the pit stop of your life to get out there in front of the guy that you were just trying to fight on track. As it looks like the field has spread out just a little bit, but we're going to see some green flag. Yeah, just a little bit. But the battle for the lead is still going, and I think both of these drivers are navigating some burnout tires as they've got almost 50 laps, now 48 laps on these tires, and should be looking at a pit stop relatively soon.
Yeah, and the challenge, especially on burnout tires here, is pulling up to the back bumper in the draft is one thing. Having enough tire to make the move when they're burnt out is entirely another thing. And I think that's what we're seeing here with Jake Drew. He gets a great run going down the straightaways, looks to try and make the move, but Kaler's taking away the high side to make the move. He's got to go low, and as I say that, they flip how they're actually approaching that corner. But Jake Drew has not been able to find the successful code yet to make the move past Jared Kaler, and as it stands, they still run 1-2 as they approach lap 49, just about at the midway point of this Michigan 200. Still waiting on the majority of the drivers to come down pit lane here. You see Armahama who picks from inside the top 6. This could shake up some of the things in the top 10 here, as he was running pretty high up there. That might be the catalyst for some of these other drivers up at the front of the field to come down and make the pit stops now.
Yeah, Leaf just started a waterfall of pit stops. That first driver in the top 10 to come down pit road. That's now going to send a signal to the rest of these drivers that they need to think about doing the same very, very quickly, because they know a Leaf is going to come out and be really fast on track. So maybe next time by, within a couple of laps here, we're going to see these drivers coming down pit road, as you see Timothy Wilms and Drexel going to try to unlap himself. And here they come. There's Tim Robb, and I believe that is Rhett Crane down pit road now to get their service for fresh tires and some fuel, splitting this race exactly in half. And I think we're going to see a lot of drivers emulate that soon.
Yeah, if you're the leaders here, you might not be able to pit just yet as Timothy Wilms goes by on the inside, taking away that low line from a couple of the cars up front. It's actually let Zach DeWale get back into the picture here. He's now on the inside of Jake Drew looking for second. He got a great run down the backstretch. And now here comes Esteban Munoz trying to unlap himself on those fresh tires, and Spencer Brown following in his wake. This is where things are going to get interesting, as the cars on fresh tires are now intermingling with the cars who have yet to come down pit road.
Yeah, this will certainly be interesting, but Jake Drew going to stay out another lap, and he's got Kaler, Drew, and DeWale is going to stay out another lap. Kaler with the lead, but Drew trying to stay in front of Zach DeWale. We're going to see if any of these top 3 cars take the bait this time around. Kaler's looking low. Jake Drew's looking low, and it looks like he's coming into pit road.
The 696 locks him up a little bit coming down pit lane, but otherwise looks pretty clean. And now it leaves Kaler and DeWale up at the front here, who have not pit, as has not Connor Levy. Although Levy is a bit of a gap back between Kaler and DeWale. Kaler and DeWale ran 1-2 a season ago in the standings, currently running 1-2 on track now. But they're not going to be able to stay out there forever. They're going to need to come down pit road at some point here, and probably some point soon. As you see, Muhammad Alif nearly 2 seconds faster than Kaler that last lap out on the fresh tires. So the timer is ticking, and as we say it, here comes Jared Kaler coming down pit road. I'd imagine, oh no, DeWale stays out. DeWale's going to run another lap at least, and he now inherits the lead here on lap 53.
And here they come. Jared Kaler down pit road that time by. And Zach DeWale, I think it would be a smart idea if he came down as well. As look at his teammate Athena Leclerc as she rockets around the outside of him to take that lap back. Jake Drew with a blistering pit stop. He will actually stay on the lead lap after that pit stop, after that pit cycle. And I think it was the gap. It was the gap that he had back to DeWale that helped him, as DeWale is now going to get his Camaro slowed down and onto pit road for his service. And that means Nick Stockner from Clemson University is going to inherit the lead this time by. If he stays out, he's battling for those alumni points with his technical teammate Matt Nordberg, another Orange Wheel Racing ally, as Nordberg is going to go around Stockner. I think Nordberg was on newer tires, so Stockner may be in some trouble right here, as it looks like he's going to get his car slowed down to come down pit road.
So now what's interesting, with Matthew Nordberg having inherited the lead from Zach DeWale, with how quickly he was moving, Matthew Nordberg could be in a really strong position here as this race continues. I mean, he's really moving pretty good as it stands. Right now, I'm trying to see where some other cars fall. Esteban Munoz is currently second, and he's at least half a straightaway behind from this camera angle. Yeah, 9 seconds back. So right now, Matthew Nordberg, after all this has been said and done, in a really strong position, assuming he doesn't have to come down pit road. But with the pace he had around Stockner, he might be able to keep cooking for quite a while here. Yeah, so Nordberg pit lap 36, so he's already made his stop. He might have to come in again for fuel, depending. But right now, the 076 and NC State in a prime position to lead some laps here at Michigan.
Yeah, this is a risky strategy from Nordberg, but if this works, this could be the strategy call of the season for that NC State team. I for one, I really hope this works, because I love seeing pit strategy. I love drivers thinking out of the box. They know they're not going to win the race on pace per se, so they're going to try something different. They're going to try an alternate pit strategy, and I love it when things work out for drivers that do that. But Nordberg is currently the leader. Tim Robb running in second place right now. Esteban Munoz, and there you saw Timothy Wilms on your screen. This is the battle for the 4th position between Wilms and Jake Drew, and you can see Athena Leclerc just behind them, also in this battle for the 4th position. She is running 6th. Kaler cycles back out onto the track in P7. Rhett Crane P8. Alif in 9th, and Matt Stawecki in 10th. Wow. He wasn't involved in that first wreck, was he?
Nah, I don't believe so. I think you might be thinking Michael Sidor, but there's a lot of M's around here.
There's a lot of MS's in this league.
There really are, yeah.
And as we've seen today, I'm not good with names.
You know, there's so many to keep track of. I mean, we have quite the quite a lot of new people in the CIL this year, which has been exciting to see. But the unintended consequence of that is there's a lot more names to learn, which, you know, we've gotten pretty good with, but I won't say perfect.
We try.
Yeah, and that is the important thing. Speaking of trying, you're looking at the lap times here, and Jake Drew is on a mission right now. He is starting to close that gap back up to Matthew Nordberg. He just gets around Esteban Munoz there for 3rd, as Andrew Williams has come down for, I believe, his 2nd stop. He's actually been here for a while now. He might be getting something repaired. That could be cataclysmic to his playoff hopes.
Yeah, playoff implications there for Andrew Williams. Possibly hit the wall a little too hard. Maybe a fuel stop gone wrong. We'll have to check on that and get back to you. But now I'm looking at it. We've only got 3 playoff drivers inside the top 10, and one of them is already qualified. In fact, this guy right here, Tim Robb, currently running P2, chasing down our leader Matt Nordberg on newer tires. He is already qualified for the championship 4, so if he wins today, he would play a huge spoiler in some of our other playoff drivers' hopes. Actually, that would unlock now 2 positions that would be given to drivers to point their way in.
Yeah, which could certainly open up a lot of avenues come Bristol to see how people could potentially make it to the championship 4. Looking at the lap times, though, right now, Matthew Nordberg, I mean, he is losing time to Tim Robb and to Jake Drew, but not nearly as fast as I personally would have expected. He's doing a good job at the moment holding on to it. Only losing about, say, half a second or so a lap to Tim Robb, maybe a bit closer to second to Jake Drew. So they will probably catch him at some point here, but you never know with the strategy call here. Maybe there's a fluke caution somewhere if someone spins it, and then we're looking at Matt Nordberg with a great strategy call. Either way, though, right now this is the battle for second on screen. You see Jake Drew pulling up to the back of Tim Robb. He was half a second faster last lap, and that is evident here as he's going right to the inside of the 5. He'll probably be able to complete the pass here coming off of 3 and 4.
Yeah, these two are going too wide at it. This will eventually be for the lead at the rate that they are catching Matt Nordberg on these newer tires, as they are side by side down the front straightaway and nobody giving an inch. And as a matter of fact, I think this is the perfect time. Let's go on board with these 2 drivers and get their POV in a CIL full send as they go through this battle. Great shots, as always, from producer Scott on stream. Man, I love how these cars sound, and we're seeing some great battles all throughout the field, and difference in tire strategy as we're riding along with Garrett Vighton in that Arizona State car. You can see Drew Williams up in front of him, back out on track. He was Vighton driving side by side with Dan Banner there for a little bit, and I think that was a UNC Charlotte car behind them. See if they're battle. Yes, this is a battle for position. This is P17 right here between Clint Halterman and Dan Banner, UNC Charlotte versus I guess the team principal of that Saints. Let me get this right. St. Clair Saints iRacing Academy. That is a mouthful to say every single time.
Is that the official name?
That is the official name. I believe so. The St. Clair Saints iRacing Academy.
I've learned something new today. I always knew it was. I knew they were the Saints. I just didn't realize they were employed as Academy.
Oh yeah, Dan Banner's got a pretty excellent organization running up there. I know he's kind of the team principal. Athena Leclerc, also out in the field tonight, is kind of the main coach of that program as well. And they've got a lot of drivers that compete in all of our series here in the CIL. And they're actually the current reigning student school champions. They were led to success by Zach DeWale last season against UNC Charlotte. Were able to knock them off for the school title on the student side. They're looking to repeat that this year. And in fact, a live look at our championship standings coming into this race. On our student side, it's Zach DeWale, actually, from St. Clair College, who's leading that charge. He has a 4-point lead over Jared Kaler of UNC Charlotte and a 9-point lead over Jason Wallet from Drexel University. So that currently is the battle for the student championship. Over on our alumni side, Colin Copel locked in a battle with Matt Nordberg. That's Indiana University versus NC State.
Speaking of Matt Nordberg here, he's got company for the lead as Jake Drew has caught up to the 076. He is pulling up to that back bumper, and I'd imagine by the time they hit the stripe next time by, we could have a new leader.
And Jake Drew does have work to do if he wants a shot at that alumni title. He sits pretty far back in the standings. Not due to merits, but just from his part-time schedule that he's run this season. Of course, busy with his in real life racing commitments. He is the reigning ARCA Menards Series West champion, so he has an IRL racing career to take care of, but that doesn't stop him from coming out and having fun in the CIL with some of his fellow alumni and racing for those wins.
Yeah, and he has just made the pass there from Matthew Nordberg. Jake Drew to the point on lap 68. His closest competition as far as pre-pit cycle was Jared Kaler, who currently sits about a 2 3/4 back. He is also starting to slowly pull, and he's on 1 lap or 2 lap fresher tires than Jake Drew, so not necessarily a major advantage. But Nordberg now coming down pit road since he's lost the lead. He'll be taking his second and final stop of the day. That 2-tire strategy didn't quite shake out there, but you never know what could unfold at the end of this race, which now leaves Kaler, the next car behind Jake Drew here. He is slowly starting to close in a little bit. He's got that gap down to a 1.5 seconds. Now it's getting even shorter. I wonder if Jake Drew had a rough exit, but Kaler now flying up onto the back of him. That gap now only a second.
And neither of these drivers has any help either. Both of them out there solo attacking this very, very draft-heavy track. And thinking back to Matt Nordberg's stop, he is going to have to get back out on track as fast as possible and then hope and pray for a caution, because I think if a caution were to come out at this point from here till the end of the race, I think you'd see every single one of these leaders come down pit road and get 4 fresh tires.
So right now on lap 70, Jake Drew is your current leader still out of Fullerton College in that 696. Right now trying to chase him down, though, it is Jared Kaler out of UNC Charlotte. He currently runs in the 2nd position and is the highest running student division car. Currently in 3rd, you got to jump back a little bit, back to Tim Robb out of American University. He won last week at Charlotte. He's having another really strong run here today at Michigan. And then back behind them, you've got Rhett Crane, who was involved with a lot of the battling early. Fell off a little bit there, but he's still holding on to a very strong 4th place run as they stand. In 5th at the moment, it is Athena Leclerc, the pole sitter from today, and she's still hanging around the top 5. The highest running car out of St. Clair College at the moment. The next St. Clair car, though, right behind her, is Zach DeWale in 6th out of the same school, St. Clair College. Looking to try and chase down a couple more positions here to help in that points battle for both the student championship and if it goes to a point situation for the series championship in Miami. In 7th right now, it is Muhammad Alif. Had a little bit of brush of the wall earlier in this race, but has held on to a very strong run so far, currently running P7. And then you got another playoff driver in 8th with Connor Levy out of Arizona State. Having a pretty quiet day after that initial battle up at the front. Still putting together a pretty strong run here. Only in 8th despite being 11 seconds back. Andrew McCall having a really strong run for himself today out of the University of Purdue. He currently sits in the 9th position in that 018 machine. And rounding out your top 10, it is Esteban Munoz for Panther Esports and Florida International. One of the earliest cars to pit, so we'll have to see if he can make it to the end on fuel. But right now, still hanging around in that top 10. And that has been a quick look at your top 10 here. And as we've been talking, Jared Kaler has closed up onto the back of Jake Drew.
I've been watching that gap come down, and it is dropping slower and slower, and now Kaler is within striking distance of the lead against Jake Drew. He got a big run down the back straightaway that time by, and is now going to look to the inside against Jake Drew, make that exit as wide as possible, get the momentum up, put the power down on these older tires, and try to make a lunge at the lead. 0.2 of a second off is Kaler. He's got the draft down the front straightaway. That comes down about 500ths, but he can't quite do anything with it. The gap is still too big going into turn 1, but this battle for the lead is about to heat up, as the next time by will be 3/4 through this race.
Yeah, the timer is starting to run out here in the Michigan 200. Jared Kaler out of UNC Charlotte, right on the back of Jake Drew and Fullerton College. They have been two of the fastest cars all day, and even through the pit cycle, they have worked their way back up to the front of the field. And right now, this looks to be a 2-horse race potentially for the win if this stays green. Tim Robb in third, over 2.5 seconds behind the leaders here. So unless something drastic happens, it'll be one of these two guys who will be ending up in victory lane. They will be battling for the win here. For Kaler, an opportunity to go to Miami. For Jake Drew, an opportunity to add to an impressive resume so far for the spring 23 season of the CIL, and trying to supplement his alumni standing points in his part-time schedule.
What a block from Jake Drew into turn 3. He used that lap car of, I believe that was Ethan Head from UT Knoxville, as a pick, and that forced Kaler to go to the inside, but Jake Drew was already there, and he threw a great defensive maneuver into the corner as they're going to come across the stripe now. 25 laps to go in this event, and Jared Kaler is running out of time to make this move work and to get the lead. But he still has plenty of time in the race to do it, as it looks like, you're right, Alex, these two have checked out from the rest of the field, and if we stay green, I think this is going to be a two-pony battle for the lead.
It certainly feels that way. Right now, I mean, just south of 50 miles to go in this race. So, I mean, a lot of opportunities to try and set something up. And with how spread out this field is, as you see Dylan Godinez whipping by on the outside there on the fresher tires, Kaler looking to maybe try and use him as a bit of draft, trying to pull alongside and potentially pass the 696. Thinking about trying to make it 3 wide. Godinez, though, didn't really get the run he needed. Maybe a little bit of side draft there from the 696. And the high-speed chess match continues between Jake Drew and Jared Kaler as they try and figure out who can use the lap traffic better to find themselves in the lead of this race.
And you explained it perfectly. This is a 200-mile-an-hour chess match that's unfolding right here, folks. Both of these drivers, they know they're not going to be able to pass each other on outright pace. These cars don't have the horsepower package at this track to do it. They're going to have to use aerodynamics. They're going to have to use those lap cars as picks. They're going to have to be smart. And most importantly, that run has to come to them, as just right there it did for Jared Kaler. He made the move to the inside, but washed up just a little bit in the corner, maybe a little too tight on entry for that UNC Charlotte machine, as he's going to get relegated back to where he was just before to try again. But you got to be smart, you got to be patient, and you got to wait for that move to come to you. Maybe even force the guy in front of you in a mistake. You got to go where he's not. If he runs high, you run low, and vice versa. You can't get around him if you're running the same line, but both of these drivers are good friends. They know exactly how each other race, and they know each other's racecraft, and I think this is going to be some of the best racecraft that we've seen all year, as Kaler tried to make a move, but Drew shut the door into turn 1.
Yeah, this is a battle between two of the more prominent figures here in the CILs. Kaler now to the inside. He got a really good run off of 1 and 2. He's pulling alongside of Jake Drew, trying to get by here. He's got a nose ahead as they go into 3 and 4. Will he be able to complete the pass is the question. The 696 could probably get a really good run off the corner here. There is only inches between them as Jake Drew retakes the lead. A great opportunity there for Jared Kaler, but not able to complete the pass, and he's going to have to pull back behind the 696 and try again. Right before that near pass for the lead, I was about to say that this is a battle between two guys who really know how to get it done. Someone who's got the racing experience of Jake Drew, knowing how to defend a lead in pressure situations like this, versus a guy who's been here like Jared Kaler, who knows what it takes to win in the CIL week after week. You couldn't ask for a better matchup up front here as they continue to pull away from the rest of the field. Tim Robb now 3.5 seconds back, and he is still by far the closest car of anybody to these guys if something were to happen. But you can see he's about a quarter of a straightaway behind here. But using Ethan Head as a bit of a draft partner there, trying to do anything to catch back up to these leaders.
Yeah, the 3-time College Cup Series champion Jared Kaler trying to take down his friend Jake Drew for the lead here to hopefully win and get a spot in the Championship 4 at Homestead, Miami. 20 laps to go across the line that time by, and Jared Kaler didn't have a good exit down the front straightaway a couple of laps ago, and you see how that is still affecting him. Meanwhile, looking further on, a little further back in the field, this is Jake Cummings versus Jason Wallet, 2 playoff drivers looking for those critical playoff points that they know they're not going to win tonight, so they need to secure as many points as they can to have a better shot at pointing their way into Homestead. Now that we know that there's at least one position available to points drivers, and if Jake Drew wins tonight, that'll make it 2.
That there would be. And right now, all these points are up for grab, and all of them are going to be worth something if they can make the path here. Jake Cummins has been near the front all day. He was running up toward the lead for a brief moment, but hasn't been there since the start of the race. As you see Matthew Nordberg making the move here, he had to pit an extra time, so he is not necessarily on the same lap cycle as the rest of these guys. But you can see how he is catching up to Jake Drew here by nearly a second a lap. When we were watching Wallet and Cummings, that was the battle for 15th, as there's only 18 laps to go. A lot still in play here as the winding laps come down. And I don't know if it's me there, Zach, but all of a sudden, look at the track got a lot darker. I wonder if there's some cloud cover covering over the track here.
Quite possibly, and that is going to cool down the track a ton, and it's going to cool down very quickly if this cloud cover stays. And I'm sure these drivers on these old tires are already fighting some very tight conditions in these cars, and that's going to make these cars even tighter as the track cools down more. There you see Andrew Burrell in that Clemson car coming off a pit road, a second pit stop, running the 2-stop strategy there, I guess, for Clemson University. But this 42 machine, and I believe that is Clint Halterman right behind him going at it for this position. And yeah, Halterman and Wiest, I think, is a few laps down, so he's not running for this battle right now. But this is a battle inside the top 10. Once again, these 2 drivers fighting for those critical playoff, or at least Halterman fighting for those playoff points. He wants to score as many points as he can to put cushion to cut the gap to the drivers in front of him, so he has a shot at pointing his way into Homestead, but also to put a buffer to the drivers behind him. Looking a little further back, these 2 drivers still going at it. Dan Banner and Jake Cummings have not left each other just yet, and I think that is Timothy Wilms, or excuse me, Jason Wallet, just ahead of them, also in this battle as well.
What's also worth noting is through the pit cycle here, there is only 17 cars left on the lead lap. So these cars we're seeing here, they are the last cars still currently on the lead lap here. And they are only about 10 to 12 seconds ahead of our leaders at the moment, as you see Jake Drew and Jared Kaler coming off of 4 right as those guys were diving into 1 and 2. That gives you an idea of the gap between them, as now we hit 15 laps to go. Ever since Kaler nearly made the pass for the lead and had to back out and fell back by almost half a second, he hasn't really been able to pull up to the back of Jake Drew again just yet. He hasn't lost him by any means, just hasn't quite got the run up that he might need here. As you see Jake Drew trying to break the draft a little bit on these straightaways. Jared Kaler still sitting about 3/10 back now with only 15 to go.
Jake Drew has been consistently a little bit better than Kaler going into the corner for a few laps now, but Kaler's got the run on exit. So maybe the tire age showing, the tire age difference between these 2 drivers showing just a hair, and maybe Kaler overheated his tires just a hair trying to catch back up to Jake Drew before he made that big attempt for the lead where he slid up the track. So maybe some damage mitigation right now for Jared Kaler, but still trying to get up to the bumper of that 696 Fullerton machine. We're going to keep an eye on this battle as it progresses. This will be 13 laps to go coming to the line this time by.
And what's fascinating about this battle at the moment is you see that light blue car. That's one of the Penn Tech cars. hanging in the mix as well. That's Michael Seidor, who was involved in the incident on lap 1. So if he's on fresher tires and gets involved in this battle somehow, one of these guys could try and use it as a little pick and roll opportunity. But that is assuming he gets up there. And Seidor is running 36th at the moment, so that gives you an idea of how stratified the field is right now. As the 3 cars we see on screen there are running 1, 2, 36.
Still a decent amount of racing left. Still time for Jared Kaler to catch his friend Jake Drew for that lead, but that gap has not come down any in the last couple of laps. I think Kaler was hoping to use that lap car, that Penn College car. I believe that is Austin DeLong in the 22. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am wrong. Thank you, producer Scott. Is that Seidor?
Yeah.
Okay, I knew it was one of them. But Kaler, hopefully, he might have thought of using that car as a pick against Jake Drew, but alas, that did not happen as Seidor got a little bit of the wall coming out of turn 2. But back up here towards the front for the lead. Still no change between these 2 cars. Maybe Kaler hanging on to something for a last gasp lunge for the lead.
It is certainly possible. It also might be he's just trying to give his tires as much of an opportunity as he can to cool them down a little bit. He may have overheated them trying to make that pass earlier in the run, and now might just be trying to save his stuff and make something happen here at the end. But right now, I mean, it is still very clearly those 2 up at the front here. Is right now, this is Andrew McCall and Connor Levy. This is a battle a little deeper in the top 10. This is the battle for 7th. Right now, McCall on the inside, Connor Levy on the outside as they come off of turn number 2. Levy clips the wall a little bit. And, you know, for Andrew McCall, this is an opportunity to get a little closer to a potential alumni championship. For Connor Levy, though, I mean, that's another point in the playoff standings that may have just slipped away here if he isn't able to reel in the 018 again.
And with only 3 races in this playoff round until we cut from 10 drivers to our championship 4, every point matters because these standings are going to be so close after only 3 races. You need every point you can to try and sneak your way into that top position, maybe even top 2 if Jake Drew wins tonight and steals that position away from a playoff driver. Jake Drew, of course, cannot qualify for the championship 4, but the fact that a non-playoff driver might win tonight's race, and if he does win tonight's race, that will take a qualifying position away from these playoff drivers, which means that 2 drivers will be able to point their way in to Homestead. So very critical for these 2 drivers as we're now looking at an alumni battle. This is Jeremy Millerin and Matthew Nordberg, some of the 2 of our drivers going at it for the alumni championship. This is a battle for position, or excuse me, sorry, this is not a battle for position, but bragging rights still on the line for these 2.
It is a battle, I do believe, though, between Garrett Vighton and Nordberg. Nearly got into each other. Nordberg, if you remember, was on the 2-stop strategy here, and right now he's knocking on the door of the top 10 again. Looks like he might run out of time to make the 2-stop strategy pay off for him in the long term, at least for a win. But if he can get back into the top 10 here, he might feel pretty good about the strategy call here. And if there is a late caution, you know, all things go out the window at that point, and you never know what could happen. As he looks to the inside of Vighton, Cody Fadenhauer on the outside with a power move around Vighton. That was not for position, but Fadenhauer with a good pass there to move ahead. He's currently scored in 28th. So the field all sorts of shuffled up here with 8 laps to go. Matthew Nordberg trying to get this 2-stop strategy to take effect. And if he can get by Vighton, he'll at least get back into the top 10 here. Vighton's still up a number of positions from where he started in, 37th today. So he's moved up quite a bit here. As right now we see that gap between Jake Drew and Jared Kaler, and Jake Drew starting to pull away a little bit. He might be getting a little bit of draft help from that 808 of Dylan Godinez. But either way, Kaler doing everything he can, trying to hold on to the back of the 696 right now.
Yeah, just a quick look at the biggest movers in the field. Of course, the biggest mover right now is Jake Drew, qualified 32nd and is leading this race with 7 coming to 6 laps to go. Next biggest mover will go to Garrett Vighton, who's currently running 11th. He started 37th, called his shot from worst to first, and he's done quite well on that. So a gutsy call from him, and he's made it work. Another big mover, Dan Banner, has gone from 36th in qualifying up to the 16th position. So 3 drivers having a really, really good day out here on track, pulling home some good results after some not good qualifying runs.
Yeah, now with only 6 to go here, one of the other guys who did a really good job was Tim Brown, who put together a really strong race as well. It's a little bit of lap traffic there. Dylan Godinez right on the outside of Jake Drew trying to come off the corner. He might not have gotten the full exit he wanted. That could be an opportunity for Kaler to reel them in just a little bit. Now Jake Drew finally makes the move on the 808 and puts him behind him with 5 laps to go. Kaler hanging 3.5 tenths back as it stands. You can see that gap went down a little bit last lap thanks to some lap traffic help. Not sure if Kaler's going to have enough time, though, because now there is nobody in front of Jake Drew for the foreseeable future here. With only 5 laps to go, they might not run into another bit of lap traffic. So at this point, it's whatever you've got on hand, and what they've got on hand might not be enough to challenge for the win.
Kaler is going to try and throw the kitchen sink at Jake Drew here, but lap traffic is not making it easy for him at all. He is side by side with Godinez down the front straightaway, and that's going to have a side draft for both of those drivers, which is going to slow them down, and that is the last thing Kaler wants to happen, as he's going to lose some more time on Jake Drew, who pulls away just a little bit down the front straightaway. But now both of these drivers appear to be clear of lap traffic for the rest of the race. 4 laps to go, coming to 3 at the line. It is last minute for Kaler if he's going to put something together to try and take this lead away from Jake Drew.
Yeah, it is crunch time here, but with the track clear ahead, the only way Kaler's going to catch him at this point is if the driver of the Fullerton College machine makes a mistake, of which he has not made many this season. So at this point, the bed may be made, and it might just be a matter of laying at it here, as with only 3 laps to go, it could be Jake Drew first, Jared Kaler second. I don't see, unless something crazy happens, how the 1 catches up to Jake Drew in this scenario.
I think the 1 needs a Hail Mary in the form of a very, very late race caution, which we have seen before, so don't count it out just yet. However, with 2 laps to go, time is running out even for that, as Drew will take get the 2 to go signal from Barney that time by. So as soon as Drew takes the white flag, the next flag will end the race, and it will be official. And Kaler is I think he's out of time, Alex.
I think you might be right. I think that lunge he made with around 15 laps to go or so was the move. And when that didn't stick, I think he just burned up a bit too much of the tire here. Great job with tire management today from Jake Drew. I mean, we saw in that opening stint when he made all those passes to get up from the back of the field to the front and still have something for the leaders. And then after the pit stop, a great job managing that race once he got around Matt Nordberg. And now holding off Jared Kaler as he takes the white flag here, the final lap from the Michigan 200. It does appear that while the next flag will end the race, more than likely it will be Jake Drew who will see victory lane here this evening.
He started from the back of the field, kept it cool, calm, and collected, and drove his way up through the field, has led for the majority of the latter half of this race. Jake Drew has come out once again to the CIL to prove why he is one of the best in the field, and he is going to walk away with the win today, which will have major playoff implications, but doesn't matter for the time being. One more time down the front stretch, checkered flag. Jake Drew is going to win the Great Lakes 200 at Michigan.
And that is a big victory for Fullerton College there. Jared Kaler brings it home in second. And it looks like Zach DeWale for St. Clair College will bring it home to round out the podium after a late race charge to get by Rhett Crane and Tim Robb. And then the rest of your top 10 after Crane and Robb is Levy, McCall, Leclerc, Nordberg, and Garrett White. Nordberg on that 2-stop strategy, able to rally all the way back to 9th. If he had just a little bit more time, an extra like 10-15 laps, you never know how that could have shaken out.
Yeah, it looked like a good strategy call from Nordberg to make his way back up inside the top 10 after all that. A busy day for a lot of drivers, but especially this man right here, Fullerton College, Jake Drew, is going to take home the checkered flag, and it looks like he will treat us to some burnouts on the front stretch as we try to get some of our drivers up in the booth for the post-race interviews.
Yeah, so we'll be getting to those in just a moment here once they have an opportunity to get out of the car. In the case of Jake Drew, to wrap up their celebration. And quite frankly, I mean, there was one caution on the opening lap of the race, and then there wasn't another one for the next near 200 miles.
Yeah.
An incredibly clean race here today. I don't know if we've had a race this year that's only had one natural caution. I think this is the first one that's only had one natural caution in it.
And it's interesting because this track has some of the closest racing on the service. You know, we saw before the green flag pit stops, people were mere inches away from each other, racing for position. And we saw the incident that came as a result of some hard racing, like you said, on lap 1. And then we just haven't looked back ever since. So impressive driving by all of our drivers tonight, but especially from Jake Drew, who put on a masterclass of 2-mile racing tonight for us.
Yeah, and it was quite a bit of fun. So while we're waiting for these guys to get out of the car, I think we can take a quick look at the finishing order here from Michigan. Jake Drew, your winner here today for Fullerton College. Jared Kaler in second. Zach DeWale in third. Rhett Crane and Tim Robb rounding out your top 5. Connor Levy, Andrew McCall, Athena Leclerc, Matthew Nordberg, and Garrett Vighton all finishing in the top 10 here, and then a gaggle of playoff drivers from 11th through 15th, and Clint Holterman, Colin Kolpa, Muhammad Alif, Jason Wallet, and Jake Cummings. And then Timothy Wilms is the first car a lap down in 16th, with Matt Stowecki and Esteban Munoz 17th and 18th. So only 15 cars finishing on the lead lap today, Zach.
Yeah, that's an interesting stat. Usually we see a lot more cars on the lead lap, but I think that's due to just the nature of we usually have some more cautions in our races. This one went pretty much strictly on pace the entire way through. But we are waiting for our top 3 drivers to get out of the car and join us in the booth for some post-race interviews. But it looks like they're taking their sweet time. Actually, here we go. Here's our first driver. Let's do Jared Kaler, our second place finisher tonight. Jared, congratulations on yet another podium finish. Good to see you once again in the booth, as is practically tradition here in the CIL. We saw the battle that you had with Jake Drew towards the end. We saw the lunge that you made with about 15, 16 laps to go. And then Jake Drew kind of just checked out and never looked back. Take us through trying to chase him down towards the end of that race.
Yeah, I knew he drove away from me once we pitted, and I was kind of saving my stuff a little bit. And about 5 or 10 laps after we pitted, I started taking off a tenth out of his lead a lap, and I was like, all right, so the car's gonna come back to me, and I got to him and made the pass, and he did a good job of taking the air off the side of my car, and I got really tight, and I knew at that point I was maybe gonna have one more chance at him after that happened. I knew the clean air was keying, and I just couldn't break the 4 or 5 tenth bubble without any help from lappers or anything, and most of them did a pretty good job staying out of the way. So thanks to that and letting us battle it out there. But yeah, I just couldn't break that 4 or 5 tenth bubble with the dirty air. Yeah, so Jake did a good job. He did a good job defending the lines and playing with the dirty air and taking my line away, and it was a lot of fun.
It seemed like there was quite the battle out there tonight, Jared. But one of the things that was, I think, the overarching narrative of the night was after the wreck on lap 1, it stayed green the rest of the way, so we had the full green flag pit cycle. I know that's not a thing we have super commonly here in the CIL. How was it trying to manage the green flag pit stop, especially when you were in the lead at that point? How did you manage trying to not only have the right strategy defending, but also making sure you hit your marks right and then got out in good time?
I mean, I love green flag pit stops. They're so much fun. We don't get to do them too often, like you said, but when we do get to do them. They're a blast. And I wasn't 100% sure on what the fuel number was with that yellow flag in there. And I was thinking it was about 47 laps that you could go on fuel. So I was trying to make it to lap 53 on that pit stop. But Jake pitted a lap earlier, and I was like, oh man, as soon as he pitted a lap earlier, I knew he was going to pass me because the new tires meant that much for that one lap. And then it took me a couple laps to get the tires up to temp, get the pressures built up into them. So once he got by me, I kind of knew I was only going to have a couple shots at him if I was able to run him back down. But I love green flag pit stops. I love that strategy with the fuel mileage and figuring out when to pit, when not to pit, because it's kind of a gamble and it makes it a lot of fun when you have to do with the strategy.
Yeah, well, thank you once again for joining us up here in the booth. It's a pretty regular occurrence, it feels like, this season. It's a bunch of points to your playoff effort. Was there anyone you'd like to shout out here before we let you go for the evening?
I'd like to thank you guys for putting it on and setting up the session, and Esteban and Jake and Clint. We're all in that Discord having fun, and got a couple people watching, so hello to them. And man, we got like 4 or 5 second places this season. Gonna be got 2 more races to see if we can punch one into victory lane.
Alrighty, well, 2 more opportunities is right. 2 more golden opportunities at that between Bristol and then Miami. That was Jared Kaler, the second place finisher here tonight. And to his point, I mean, just another almost effort from the reigning series champ. I mean, he's come second or third in like half the races we've had this year, but still looking for win number 1 on the season.
Well, but there's a reason he's still being talked about in the title contention despite not having that crucial win this season, is because he is consistently inside the top 5 finishers for pretty much every race. I think the one of the only races that he hasn't been inside the top 5 was Daytona, where he crashed out. So Mr. Consistent, I think, for Jared Kaler this season, he's done a great job of taking what's been given to him and making those runs count. But like you said, still 2 more opportunities, or like he said, still 2 more opportunities for a win. He's got Bristol next week to win his way into the championship 4, and if he makes it into the championship 4 and wins at Phoenix, then he gets the title once again. But as for that, let's go ahead and talk to our 3rd place finisher, Zach DeWale from St. Clair College. Just like Jared Kaler, it seems like it's just tradition up here talking to you up in the booth after the race. Congratulations on yet another great race out there. I want to talk to you about the track conditions. We saw that it was really hot and that we got some cloud cover about halfway through the race towards the end. How do you think the track changed as the race went on, and what sort of effects did that have on the racing in the car?
I think it kind of opened up a bit more a bit more lanes for us to race on. At the start, when we were all bunched up in the pack, everyone's running the top, and then as the track kind of cooled down, I guess it kind of brought the bottom of the track in, which seems a little bit backwards to my mind, but that's just how it worked. And yeah.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like quite the battle out there. One of the things that we were looking at up here, Zach, was the green flag pit cycle, how that kind of shuffled everyone around. And with like 10 or so laps to go, I feel like you were running like 5th or 6th, and then the next time we looked up after looking at the battle for the lead, you had gotten yourself into 3rd on the podium there. For me personally, and for anyone who may have missed it, what took place in the last couple laps there that catapult you from around the top 5 mark down to the podium?
So, well, actually, before the stop, I had like just got up with Jake and Jared, and I stayed out a lap longer than them, and so I would have a bit better tire towards the end. And then I overshot my stall, and that's what made me drop back to like about 5th, 6th once stops were all cycled out. And then from there, I was just saving, so I guess I had a bit better tire towards the end, and I think right at the very end, when I went from 4th to 3rd, that was I think that was Tim Robb ran out of gas on the last lap, or the second to last lap, which was really unfortunate for him.
Oh,
So
yeah, okay,
that's what it looked like to me.
That'll do it.
Yeah, so I got kind of lucky. Kind of worked out for me, I guess.
Wow. Yeah, okay. That so I remember I looked up and like there wasn't I didn't have a lap counter 'cause we were calling the finish of the race. But I didn't see you in third and then we hit the end of the race and I looked up and you were just in third. I'm like, did I miss something? Okay, so that explains a lot. So
Sneaky.
but hey, way to pull a podium out there at the end. I'm sure that's a ton of points in your playoff push here to try and make it to Miami. Anyone you'd like to shout out here before we let you go on your way this evening?
Yeah, absolutely. Emily and Jordan and Riley at home, always watching the races, which is awesome. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Very fun race. Happy with the result. Two third places in a row. Can't really complain about that.
Yeah, I mean that's back-to-back podiums. That's a pretty solid way to start the playoffs here and put you in good shape come Bristol. But that was Zach DeWale, our third place finisher here tonight. Same second and third place each of the past 2 weeks, if my memory serves me correct, Zach.
I think you're right. But we've talked to both DeWale and Kaler the past couple weeks. So if either of them is going to have to point their way into the playoffs, they're making a very good case for themselves to do so with this consistency and big points all around the board for both of these drivers. But let's go ahead and talk to our man of the hour, Jake Drew from Fullerton College. Congratulations on another CIL win. Good to talk to you up here in the booth again. We've missed you since last time.
Yeah, thank you. That was a ton of fun. It was tricky with the long green flags and trying to keep the tires underneath you, and I I crashed it in qualifying. Virtual guys had to pull out the backup car. We started in the back and was able to drive through, so that was a lot of fun. Really to test myself, to saving the tires and being patient and just kind of picking them off one by one.
Yeah, it looked like it was quite the battle out there, Jake. I wanted to ask you with the green flag pit cycle. You came in a lap earlier than Jared Kaler when you were running second. You got the advantage coming off of pit road. Did you do anything in particular to win the race off there, or did you just have a quicker out and in lap?
No, I think just with the tire wear, the one lap earlier was that much more of a gain, and I really didn't think I was going to come out with the lead. I had a pretty bad stop, but overshot the box, had to back up and everything. So when I actually came out in the lead, I was pretty surprised, to be honest with you. But props to him for running me back down. He had a couple seconds to gain back and really kept me honest and kept me looking in my mirrors pretty often to see where he was at and try not to let him get too close.
Was there any concern at the end there? I mean, I know he had a couple lunges for the lead late. Were you any bit concerned with the pace, or was it just a matter of staving off the couple of attacks and then driving away?
Yeah, I think it was really just it came down to the dirty air. As long as I could keep air off his nose, I knew he wasn't going to be able to get too close. And even if he did, I could kind of take the air off the side of him and get the run back off the corner, and you know, kind of give us a couple tenths buffer to make him have to recharge and try at it again. So I felt pretty safe, but definitely wasn't gonna slack any.
Well, congratulations again on your victory, Jake. I mean, that's a second of the season, third. I don't entirely remember.
Second,
off the
I
top of my
think
head.
second, yeah.
Second. Well, either way, congratulations. Welcome back to Victory Lane here in the CIL. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you go celebrate your victory here tonight?
Yeah, I just want to shout out you guys again for putting on this awesome series. I have a ton of fun with it with my friends, and of course my family gets to watch it at home. So hi to them. Hope to see you guys soon, and see you guys next week.
Awesome. Well, that was Jake Drew, our winner here tonight from the Great Lakes 200. We've now heard from all of our podium finishers and what was a very entertaining, if not slightly different CIL race here with mostly, it was like 96, 97 straight laps of green flag racing after a wreck on lap one. But now I think it's time that we take a look at the full finishing order here. We did a brief rundown of the top of the list, but how about we do a quick rundown of the rest of the field there, Zach?
Yeah, looking at the back half of the grid, in 19th, Andrew Stagey. Oop, one more back up. Thank you. Andrew Stagey from Ball State University will bring it home 19th. Jeremy Millerin finishes as the last car in the top 20 for Purdue University. Couple of extra alumni here with him. Nick Stockner from Clemson University will finish 21st. Dan Banner from St. Clair College finishes 22nd. Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate finishes 23rd. 24th goes to Andrew Burrell from Clemson University. Ethan Head will finish 25th for the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Anthony Brown finishes 26th for the Queen's University of Charlotte. Ryan Wilson, first car 3 laps down, will finish 27th for Minnesota State Mankato. VCU's Cody Fadenhauer finishes 28th. Dylan Godinez from the Penn College of Technology finishes 29th. Spencer Brown will finish 30th for the UNC Charlotte squad. Andrew Williams, our bottom playoff driver, has another bad day out on track. This is 2 in a row for him, so I believe he is pretty close to being in a must-win situation next week at Bristol if he wants a shot at the Final Four, as he finishes 31st for Clemson University. Edwin Onofre for the University of North Texas finishes 32nd. 33rd goes to Bradley Daniels from Robert Morris University. 34th, Jacob Wiest from UNC Charlotte. Austin DeLong from Penn College of Technology finishes 35th. His teammate Michael Sidor finishes 36th. Treston Yoder finishes 37th for Robert Morris University. And Matthew Burton, after being involved in that lap 1 incident, retired the car immediately to finish 38th for East Tennessee State. And I believe producer Scott has our updated playoff grid standings. Yes, he does. Tim Robb, you can see, tops the charts. He is already qualified for the Championship 4 in Homestead. And Jared Kaler and Zach DeWale are on top of the standings, separated only by 4 points up at the top. Then another 10 points back to Connor Levy from Arizona State. Jake Cummings right now is 5th in Wingate. Clint Halterman is 6th for UNC Charlotte. Muhammad Alif, Ball State, is 7th. Jason Wallet for Drexel is 8th. And Andrew Williams, after his poor day today, drops 4 spots all the way to 9th. And suspended Robbie Vrabel Jr. will be back next week for Bristol in a must-win position in that 10th place for St. Clair College. So this is going to be one heck of a race next week, Alex.
Yeah, I'm so excited for Bristol. I'm ready to bring it on right now. I mean, we'll find out. Only one guy's locked into the championship race, so we're going to settle 3 more positions next week at Bristol. Some of these guys have found themselves in a really prime position to advance to the next round with a good day. Others of them are in very much a win and in scenario, and we have not raced at Bristol in a bit of time here, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys handle the high concrete banks and who will punch their ticket to Miami in 2 weeks' time. But that's not even, before we even get to Bristol next week, I mean, there's still more racing going on this week. I believe we got the short track series on Wednesday, right?
Yes, that is correct. I believe that is, yes, Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. Our student short track showdown continues to its penultimate round, the Music City Melee from the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, as Ball State's Muhammad Alif picked up his first win of the season 2 weeks ago at Richmond and looks to carry that momentum onward and chase down Ryan Whitlock from Alabama Huntsville and the ringer of the series, Ethan Johnson of Central Carolina Community College. And all 3 of those drivers are still very much in it to win that championship, and you won't want to miss a single minute of that action as the season winds down. Again, that is Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. And as for us, round 12 is over, our second round of the playoffs, and Jake Drew played playoff spoiler for our drivers and racks up a nice points haul for himself and Fullerton College as they chase down the Alumni Championship. And there is only one more chance for a playoff driver to lock himself in for the long ride to Homestead, Miami in 2 weeks, where we'll see the 4 best drivers from this season duke it out in a winner-takes-all event for the first ever College Cup Series playoff title. 3 spots remain after tonight for drivers to qualify their way in off of a win or on points, but if we have a new playoff winner next week, things will certainly change and the pressure gauge will be as high as it has ever been in this league. And speaking of next week, we will make the cut to our top 4 drivers at Bristol Motor Speedway for our Thunder Valley 200, which is surely going to be, if not, it's going to be one of, if not the most exciting race of the season. So be sure you don't miss some good old short track racing on the high banks, because it's Bristol, baby, next Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that will do it for us tonight. So on behalf of myself, Alex, producer Scott, and everyone else at the CIL, we'd like to congratulate our podium finishers and thank you for tuning in to tonight's show. And until next time, stay fast.